Yes! Hello, my beautiful friends. What an amazing day it is, and welcome back. I hope that your week has been absolutely outstanding, and you're here ready to dig into it on this lovely and amazing Friday. It's great to be with you. We've got a lot to get to today. It's been a great week, but we're not done yet. We got some stories to dive into, and so let's do a quick preview, and then we'll zoom in for further detail. But as you can see, there was this story that dropped this week about this new report from CBS News. They dug into this thing, and it was a really well done report from them. And you'll even see they've got video recreations, they've got 3D renderings of the cell and the footage, different yellow dotted lines. I mean, this is advanced. So this looks great. We're going to go through it and see what was going on here and then do an update on the Glenn stuff because she apparently got moved today over to a minimum security facility. It's causing a lot of people to say, I wonder what that's all about. And so apparently it's like a spa or something like that. I don't know if hopefully there's no massages going on there. I don't know. But apparently she got moved and the family's not happy about it. So we'll get some updates on that. They came out with their response. They said this is ridiculous. We also are now seeing that the House deposition or conversation with her is going to be postponed. We've got an update on that. And there was an updated filing. So we got a 2-pager that came out on the Glenn case from the judge, basically asking for clarification. We'll go through it and get up to speed on it. Trump was asked about this yesterday in the evening. Now the president has gone to New Jersey for the weekend and he has a light public schedule, but this was one of the events that he was attending yesterday before heading out of town for the weekend. So we got that coming up. Then we'll talk about this burn bag situation with the FBI and what Cash said. And then we have a roundup of FBI stuff because we now know that there is a coup that was taking place, may still be taking place, by Brennan and Clapper and Obama in covering all this stuff up about how they tried to create a Russia collusion hoax and a bunch of other nonsense. But Cash says they found it in a burn bag tucked away somewhere. We'll read it. And we got another exclusive drop from our friends over at the Federalist, this one from Molly Hemingway. And she's explaining that the person who approved the payout was a left-wing activist, Brian Netter. And there's a lot of material here. So we'll go through that and see what the latest is there. Now, Tim Burchett, you know who he is. He also sent a letter over to James Comer asking about the people that we talked about yesterday on the show, where it was a lot of conversation about this one fella called Leonard Bernardo. Leonard Bernardo. Lots of Ardos in that dude's name. And so he is now sending Tim Burchett a letter to James Comer saying, can we take a look at some of this stuff? So we'll see what was going on over there. We have a Ryan Ruth update. So the FBI will be certainly testifying in this case, presumably, along with the Secret Service and maybe others. But this trial should be coming up like first week of September. So we're closing in on a month here. But Judge Eileen Cannon came out with the new ruling. Shout out to our friends on Locals. I saw them chatting about this. I'm like, oh, I'll shove that in here and talk about that. We also got Dan Bongino with an FBI update. And he dropped this. He is talking about numbers and a lot of the prosecutions that are going on. Comer's out saying we're not letting up on this. And even Lindsey Graham's mad about it. Probably because he was kind of involved in some of it. We'll see. But that's the FBI update. Then we'll come back and we've got Trump fired the jobs lady. Lots of jobs shenanigans going on, but we can explain them pretty easily. We look at some of these charts and it's just a transition between foreign-born jobs and official, American-born jobs. And we also saw NPR and PBS are officially calling it quits. And so it's going to be just a beautiful stream as we get into it. And we're really glad that you are here and with us. But as you know, it's Friday. And before we get into the business on the day, we got to talk about barbecue, baby, because it is barbecue time to get out by the pool and start cooking and grilling. But the hard part about it is actually doing it well. You kind of come back with this plate of meat and you tell your friends or family, like, here you go, have some barbecue. And you're like, oh, thanks for that. Because it's like beef jerky or something. Now, those days are gone. Now, I got a Chef IQ Sense, and now I'm ready for the Food Network, baby. Chef IQ is brilliantly simple. It's a cooking sensor that goes into whatever I'm cooking, whatever you're cooking too. It's kind of like a meat thermometer, but it's wireless and it's way smarter. It takes the stress out of not knowing if your meat is going to come out good. So you just go into the app, enter whatever you're cooking into the Chef IQ sense, steaks, chicken, fish, whatever. Choose precisely how you like it cooked, well done, medium rare, whatever. Chef IQ then, it continuously monitors and predicts precisely when the food will be done. And so you're not worried about it. No opening a hot oven, no sweating over a barbecue, no frying pan or air fryer, none of that. So you're just free to kick back, visit with guests, do whatever else you need, and then boop, you get an alert right on your phone when your steaks or seafood or chicken or whatever is done. It's like cook to order. It's brilliant. So the way you like it, no more guessing. It's the world's smartest, simplest to use wireless cooking sensor, and the best news is they have a flash sale now. And so jump on this, baby. It's summer grilling season right now, and you are a grill master. Let's pull it out of you. And during their flash sale, you'll get 15% off, and so you can get yours at chefiq.com, promo code Robert. Again, chefiq.com, promo code Robert, and get your grill on this summer. All right. So, my friends, thanks for supporting our sponsors of the show. Links down in the description below. All right, now let's get into business on the day, because we got some good business to attend to, starting with this report. A new investigation reveals new discrepancies in the Jeffrey Epstein video footage that was purportedly all original, raw footage that was just assembled and released to the public. Not any funny business going on, but the internet got their hands on it and identified a bunch of problems. And CBS did the same. And in this report, we've got footage, we've got 3D renderings, we've got all sorts of good stuff, yellow dotted lines, follow the yellow dotted line. We got interesting oval blurbs trying to identify what the heck is going on with this orange fellow creature moving through the area. And so we'll go through it, and we'll have some other updates on this case because Gouveia just got moved over to minimum security prison, where they have a nice spa. So we'll go through it. We'll get some updates because there was another court filing there in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. But here is the latest from CBS saying new discrepancies in this jail video footage, saying in the weeks after Epstein died in Lower Manhattan, then Attorney General Bill Barr said his, quote, personal review of the surveillance footage clearly showed that no one entered the area where Epstein was housed, leading him to agree with the conclusion that the medical examiner that Epstein had died by suicide. And I'd like to know, like, what was that personal review? Did it entail? How long did it take? And more. Now, there's a lot of conversation about Bill Barr's father and Bill Barr's lineage. And when you go over to Wikipedia and you pull this up and you just even read about it, you'll see that the guy's name was Donald Barr. And he had kind of a weird situation where he wrote this book. Right here's the guy. He born New York, Manhattan, had children, including William Barr. Donald Barr was born to a Jewish family, later converted to Catholicism, sent his children to Catholic elementary school, saying he's more Catholic than the Catholics are. All right. So his career, of course, was in government. Ronald Reagan nominated him to the National Council on Educational Research. But there's this book that he wrote, which is a strange one, called Space Relations, a space opera novel that was originally published in 1973. It's a plot where humans have formed an intergalactic empire by aristocrats. This is Bill Barr's dad. And there's an Earthman in his 30s, and he's dispatched to this planet. And they're all kind of going mad. And then they're forming alliances against slave-owning societies. And then there's a 15-year-old virginal redheaded female captive who gets AR'd right in front of everybody. And then he tries to make the slave beautiful, and then there's more sexual relations, and there's an alien invasion, and there's sadism, and then he's ordered to sexually assault the teenager. He enjoys his participation. What is going on? So it's a weird one, right? It's one of those weird ones. Space Relations, that's Bill Barr's dad. And then, then you've got Bill Barr, who just happens to be presiding over a pedophile type of case of a man who's abusing teenagers, just like was fantasized about in this novel. And okay, it's a novel, it's fiction. It's just fiction, Rob. You can have a lot of other types of fiction. You don't have to have fiction about 15-year-old virginals. redhead female captives getting abused by space aliens or whatever the story is. So strange stuff. Then Bill Barr comes in. He's like, look, I gave it a personal review. All right. So just leave me alone. It was a personal review. I checked it out. It's all valid and verified. And it was a claim that once that got seeded, just like the 17 intelligence agencies hoax, once you put that out there, then everybody just copies and pastes it because they're just, automatons. And they just say, well, Bill Barr said it. He's the attorney general. So we can't really contest that at all. Now, no one went in there, died by suicide. Now, it's a claim that's been repeated by a bunch of other people, including Dan Bongino, who said, well, there's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and he's the only person coming out. And like, if that's accurate, we'd like to see that because we still have not seen any video clear as day. And Dan said that. The video we see we're going to see is terrible. And it looks like it's not even real in terms of being raw, right? It is manipulated, as we'll find out. But a CBS News analysis of the video the FBI made public earlier this month reveals that the recording doesn't provide a clear view of the entrance to Epstein's cell block, as we noticed. One of the several contradictions between their descriptions of the video and the video itself. Now, CBS News also digitally reconstructed the special housing unit, the SHU, where Epstein was held, using diagrams and descriptions from the 2023 report on the Epstein case released by the Justice Department Inspector General, which I do believe we saw here. Yeah, we've read through this one. I do believe looks familiar to us and says, here, the CBS News review found the video does little to provide any evidence to support the claims that were made by anybody. Additionally, CBS News has identified multiple inconsistencies between that report that we just looked at and the video that raises questions and about the accuracy of witness statements and the thoroughness of the government's investigation, which obviously was not thorough at all. The review doesn't refute the conclusion that Epstein died by suicide, but it does raise questions about the credibility of this, which are drawing conclusions from the video that you can't see. Clear as day. It's not clear. We can't see his cell at all, actually. So the Epstein jail video says the silent surveillance video, which runs for nearly 11 hours, provides a narrow window into Epstein's world during his last hours on Earth. Staffers on duty that night in the Metro Correctional Center carry blankets, fill out paperwork, and occasionally do other things. Appear to doze off. Well, the grainy pixelated footage shows two doors, a nondescript blue trash can, and a stair landing. Beyond the banister, a third of the frame is filled with a bright fluorescent lit open area. A staircase is visible on the left. And in the back, a dark blurry patch marks the correctional officer's desk. Right here, this little black blurry patch. To the right of the desk is the faint outline of part of the staircase leading up to Epstein's cell. Over here, faint outline of a staircase. That's going up to Epstein. Not Epstein's cell here. This is not Epstein's cell here. We just see some people kind of going back and forth. And that's supposedly clear as day. Now, several cameras in the SHU were functioning, but they were unmonitored, the report said. And the government has stated that a failure of the digital recording system resulted in loss of most of the footage from that night of August 9th and 10th that would have provided a fuller view. And it's just wild how technology just fails, like at the most inopportune times. It's the same thing with that pipe bomber, man. How come we can't find that pipe bomber? Oh, yeah, because the Verizon cell records were corrupted. Oh, well, how about AT&T? Did they have anything? Oh, no, theirs was corrupted too. Then you go and you ask them, hey, AT&T and Verizon, was your data corrupted? They say, no, we're in the data business. Nothing's corrupted. The FBI just didn't really look at it. So it is just a cover up. And they know, somebody deleted the footage, clearly. Now, the video that was released begins at 7:40, 9 minutes later. Does this happen? Did this happen in other nights? Was there other random nights throughout the year where they just lost the night of footage? That video that was released begins at 7:40 p.m. 9 minutes later, according to the report, Epstein appears for the first and last time on camera. Now, he emerges from the left side of the screen and walks down a stairwell that was accompanied by a corrections officer. Employees told investigators that Epstein had just finished an unmonitored call, which was another bizarre thing. Who did he call? Why was he allowed to make an unmonitored call where every other prisoner is monitored? Unless he's talking to his lawyer, later reported to have been with his girlfriend in Belarus. Right. Unmonitored call with your girlfriend. The video rolls almost uninterrupted for the next 11 hours. At 6:30 a.m., corrections officers can be seen rushing across the frame. The Justice Department later disclosed that's when Epstein's body was discovered. Now, over the course of the night, the staff on duty failed to conduct the required 30-minute check-ins on Epstein while he spent the night alone in his cell. Prisoner officials had already determined that he was a suicide risk. He'd allegedly tried to kill himself weeks earlier in mid-July, and because of this, under prison protocol, he was assigned a roommate. But that roommate had been transferred earlier in the day, and the prison staff had not assigned him a new one. Two staff members called Tova Noel and Michael Thomas were ultimately charged with falsifying records, but those charges were later dropped because you definitely don't want them to defend themselves and have this case go to a trial where there's discovery and more evidence and all the things. There were no supervisors or Bureau of Prisons officials punished for these alleged oversights because no one ever gets in trouble. If you work for the government, man, you can get the president shot in the head. Not even a big deal. You just get a temporary suspension because you work for the Secret Service. There were no supervisors who were ever punished for these alleged oversights that preceded the deaths of the highest profile prisoner, perhaps ever, in the entire federal prison system, dead. Last month, the FBI announced the Epstein case was closed, based partly on video evidence, and reiterated that Epstein killed himself as he awaited trial on the charges. Now, here are other inconsistencies in this monster report. The FBI claimed to us, anyone entering or attempting to enter the tier where Epstein's cell was located from the shoe common area would have been captured by the footage, okay? So it's like, this is a choke point, right? You can see anybody who's coming this way. And so Epstein was let out. Then the other dudes came rushing in. And so you can see everything, right? So we would have seen if somebody popped in that way. Now, the video, cross-referenced with diagrams of the Epstein holding area, does not appear to support that finding at all. That becomes obvious in the first 10 minutes of the video. Epstein's cell was in the L block, accessible via a staircase from the special housing unit common area. When Epstein appears on camera, he is seen walking towards the stairs leading to his cell, but since the staircase is almost entirely out of view from the camera, he is never seen ascending the stairs. The entrance to Epstein's cell, as well as the primary entrance to the shoe, are off camera in the same direction, meaning there's no way to tell from the video if he went to his cell or if he exited the shoe. What? If he went to his cell or if he exited the shoe. Huh, interesting. So here you see, it looks like they've got Epstein's cell highlighted here. We're going to see the yellow dotted line walking us in there. But this is a nice recreation. We appreciate the effort that went into this so that we can get a visual for it and see where the camera was. Now, it looks like the camera's probably right up in here, right? Based on the video that we saw looking this direction. So maybe you can't see if he comes out this way, right? Because he just walks right around this. The camera can't see him because it's got this angle. While brief movement is occasionally visible on the stairs when someone is walking up the left side, the area remains mostly obscured throughout the recording, making it impossible to determine if someone may have entered the shoe through the primary entrance and accessed the staircase without ever being captured on the recording. Just like that. Right there, because the footage may have just gone this way and kind of been cut off at that location, right? This angle here that we saw is blocked by that wall. We can't see what's going on past that wall to the right. Oh, bummer. Man, that's like a perfect blind spot for a camera. You can just sneak someone out. This appears to directly contradict the FBI and the Inspector General's assertion, and allows for the possibility of unrecorded movement between those areas. Without visual evidence, the case relies on the word of staff members, on these two liars, Noel and Thomas, that no one entered because you can't see it. At one point, the Justice Department noted both of them appeared to have fallen asleep, although Noel denies this. So Jim Stafford, now a video forensics expert, reviewed the footage and the Inspector General's report and told CBS News, to say that there's no way that someone could get to the stair up to his room without being seen as false. 4 other leading video forensics experts also concurred. Now, experts question the interpretation of this orange shape that is moving up the stairs. And so just to be clear, those stairs would be these stairs. And you can kind of see it looks like maybe the set of bars right here. So somebody's kind of walking up those stairs and you can see it kind of right there, cut off by the corner. And they tell us just before 10:40 p.m., an orange shape is seen moving up the stairs. Don't say it's a Trump thing. Moving up the stairs leading to Epstein's tier. The report says through review and analysis of the shoe video footage, witness statements, and Bureau of Prison Records, the Office of the Inspector General determined that at approximately 10:40 p.m., a corrections officer, believed to be Noel, carried linen or inmate clothing up to the L tier, which was the last time that any CO even approached the entrance to the shoe tier in which Epstein was housed. Now, video forensic experts who reviewed that footage at the request of CBS News were skeptical about that interpretation and said, well, the shape could be a person dressed in an orange prison jumpsuit climbing up the stairs, right? What is it? What is the orange outfit? Do prison guards wear orange, or do prisoners wear orange? Oh, so that person looks like starts climbing up the stairs. Now, Connor McCourt, a retired NYPD sergeant and forensic expert, told CBS News, based on the limited video, it's more likely it's a person in an orange uniform, whoever that might be. Now, a cursor and a menu appear on screen, and the video is sped up as well, which we noted when we first watched it. The Justice Department said the FBI seized the prison's digital recorder system, or the DVR, containing raw footage 5 days after Epstein's death, and then put most of it in the shredder. When federal officials released the jail video, they told us, because they think we're idiots, that it was raw footage. Then we saw the cursor and the click bar up there, so you can fast forward. This part's boring, fast forward or remove it. And they also had the camera jump because one video, the first half, seems like it was a little bit smaller in the frame. Then it kind of zoomed in a little bit. Like some basic editor just smashed it together after they were screen recording it. But the presence of a cursor and on-screen menu raised questions about that. Experts told CBS News those images indicate the video was likely a screen recording rather than an export directly from the DVR system. And the basis, the plausible explanation for that is that it's a 20-year-old system, and it's really hard to convert those video files and export anything off of it. And so they just did it for simplicity. But if they did that, they could have told us that. Not said it was the raw footage, because everybody could see it. Several forensic experts CBS News spoke with, including Jim Safford of some other company and this guy from that other company, said that they had not viewed surveillance footage in this format. They said it was unlikely to have been an export of the raw footage, and that instead it appears to be two separate video segments that were stitched together. Stafford, who looked at the video using specialized software to extract the underlying coding known as metadata, said the metadata showed the file was first created on May 23rd of this year. So that means it's probably a screen capture, not an actual export, man. In addition, the analyst said a shift in the frame aspect ratio, which we noted, that is the ratio of the width to height, indicated there were two clips. It wasn't a continuous run because it changed size. Government sources familiar with this said the actual raw video is in possession of the FBI, but that's not what the department released. Also, a report by Wired had previously alleged nearly 3 minutes of footage appeared to be missing based on the metadata. CBS News and their analysis also found that because the video was running at a slightly higher speed, and with 1 minute missing when the clock jumped ahead at midnight, the video was not actually 11 hours. It was actually only 10 hours and 52 minutes in length, as opposed to the full 11 hours. Now, the missing minute was also the thing that we all noted immediately because we saw that click over here. Right there, boom. And you can see even the aspect ratio on the video change. It gets a little fatter, like that door just puts on 10 pounds. Watch right there. Here you go. It happens in your videos. Just had a double-double, 3 double-doubles, a triple, whatever. So you get the point. So someone's been, changing the videos and manipulating it. And now the idea is that the video was actually only 10 hours and 52 minutes in length. Meaning it only recorded 10 hours and 52 minutes, or that the video length was 10 hours and 52 minutes in total. But they said, because I don't remember what the actual video, at the bottom of that 11-hour video. All right, maybe we'll pull it up. During this minute, an unnamed staffer with the title Materials Handler on duty from 4 p.m. to midnight would have finished his shift and is assumed to have left the unit. During that 1 minute, like 12 o'clock, like a lot happens then. Your shift's over, you're leaving. So there's probably movement going on, right? They cut that out. While there is nothing to suggest this action has any relevance to the events of that evening, the missing stretch of time does raise questions about the value of the video to conclusively determine what occurred, which it obviously does not. There is no mention of a missing minute in the Inspector General's report because they didn't catch it or care. A government source familiar with the investigation, or even look at it, tells CBS News that Pam Bondi was incorrect in her statement that the security team had a nightly reset, resulting in a lost minute every night. Like, we'll just get a better system. There was a minute that was off that counter, and what we learned from the Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video, Bondi said, which I don't even know what that means. Every year, every night. You know, Bondi was just kind of rambling off, trying to get through the question, noting the system was old. Every night is reset, so every night should have that same missing minute. So we're looking for that video as well to show it's missing every night. But a high-level government source familiar with the investigation told CBS News that the FBI and the Bureau of Prisons and the DOJ Inspector General are in possession of full, unedited copies of the videos, and those copies do not have a missing minute. Why Bondi said that the video resets is not clear, because they actually have actual footage that doesn't do that. In a statement, Bureau of Prisons said, we can confirm Attorney General Bondi's statement. So there's a conflict now between the government and other sources. Now, at 12:05:48 a.m., an unidentified individual passes through the shoe. Who could this person be? I don't know. It's Hillary, maybe. The Inspector General's report says only 2 staff members entered the unit after midnight. The official report, right? It's a corrections officer identified only as CO3, and the other is described as the Morning Watch Operations Lieutenant. Now, the presence of a third identified individual seen on the video is not addressed by the Inspector General's report. Why not? In one instance, the Inspector General's report appears to conflate the actions of Tova Noel with another female staff member. Now, the report says Noel stated she left Epstein alone in the shower area where he had made his unmonitored phone call. So she, walks him over there. Here, call your exfiltration team. Tell them, yeah, we're ready. Tonight's the night. We're all sitting here. She told officials she left the area to use the restroom. Yeah, no, she's going to leave right now in an adjoining area. And when she returned, Epstein was gone. Appeared to have already been escorted to his cell by someone else or escorted out the back door to a helicopter. But the video shows what appears to be Noel remaining in the unit and personally escorting Epstein to the staircase leading to the cell. So she was lying to the inspector. But there is another female staffer present who is seen on camera exiting the unit just before Epstein is escorted, and she returns shortly thereafterwards. Now, this discrepancy occurs during a crucial time period. CBS says Epstein had been allowed to make an unmonitored call from a showered area using a phone line intended only for attorney communications. According to the report, this was facilitated by the unit manager, who was the senior officer in charge. Epstein allegedly said he wanted to call his mama, even though his mom died in 2003. The unit manager dialed a 646 number, New York City area code. A man answered, and he handed the phone to Epstein. The unit manager then left the area, but later called and asked Noel to retrieve the phone. The Bureau of Prisons director later told investigators that the unmonitored call was extremely concerning, stated, "We don't know what happened on that phone. It could have potentially led to the incident of Epstein's death, but we will never know," said the Bureau of Prisons regional director. Yeah, we won't. Multiple staff members are seen entering the Epstein unit, while Noel and Thomas remain visible in the common area. Now, in assessing the video, the report says Justice Department officials have said no one could have entered his tier without being seen because the staircase was visible on the tape, and access to the shoe was only possible by passing through 2 locked doors, which are both, of course, off camera. One door is remotely operated, and one requires a physical key, which Noel told investigators only she and Thomas possessed. However, the video shows several individuals entering and exiting, while Thomas and Noel are nowhere near the door or not present at all, contradicting her statement. Well, as a result, there's no way to know from the video if it indeed was possible for someone to enter the unit and climb the stairs without being seen. We continue. Were there other cameras recording? There were. Here's a field view of the recording of the 9th floor elevator bay camera. You see Epstein's cell was right here in the footage. And it looks like this is highlighted. This is the DOJ's OIG's schematic drawing depicting the shoe at the Bureau of Prisons, saying, in addition to cameras that failed to record other angles of the common area, the Inspector General's report states that there were 2 additional camera recording events in the vicinity of Epstein's unit. Cut the cameras. One covering an elevator bank used to transport inmates or escapees, and another focused on a nearby guard desk who you have to walk by. Neither of those videos has been released, but a screen grab from one was included in a report. While federal officials have dismissed those recordings as unhelpful in documenting what occurred, experts told CBS News those videos could add value, clearly. They could, for instance, help determine whether the DVR system did in fact reset nightly and consistently lose 1 minute. Did the other videos lose a minute? Bondi said that. Or it could contradict her claim. And we could say, why did she say that? CBS News has reached out to the Justice Department, Bureau of Prisons, and FBI to discuss this video. They declined to comment. Justice Department referred us back over to them. Now, a spokesperson for the Inspector General emailed the following, says, the OIG appreciates the careful review of our report. Our comprehensive assessment of the circumstances of the weeks, days, hours before Epstein's death included the effects of long-standing chronic staffing crisis, that's all it was, in the prisons and their failure to provide and maintain quality cameras. Nothing has changed in our recommendations or analysis since our report. Now, CBS News has also sought interviews with Tova Noel and Michael Thomas directly and through their lawyers. They have not responded, but have previously denied any involvement in anything related to Epstein. Robert Hood, this person who's a former Bureau of Prisons chief of internal affairs, said he's reviewed the Inspector General's report, and in an email he said, in my opinion, the summary investigative reports don't provide adequate details concerning Epstein's death. The new director should provide internal investigative reports concerning his death and related historical data at the jail. Mark Epstein, Epstein's younger brother, has long voiced his belief that his brother did not die by suicide but was murdered. He spoke with CBS News and said, without a recording of the camera where he was housed, it's unclear if the door to his brother's cell had been properly locked or if other prisoners could have had access and that orange blob could have come in there and taken him out. That tier housed as many as 14 inmates, and only 3 voluntarily spoke to investigators, according to the report. Only 1 has been identified publicly by name. So, very interesting report. And here's another little topographical view on what you can see. And yeah, man, it looks like the camera is right in this angle, right here. Kind of looking this direction. Stairs go down. This is Epstein's cell. And the camera is blocked by this wall right here. You just can't really see past it. So could somebody have walked this direction, up this side of the stairs, gone into Epstein's cell, walked back out, and avoided this entire angle of the camera this entire time? Walked out this way, gotten in the elevators, gone out the 9th floor south. Very curious indeed. So what's happening now, we know Todd Blanche went and met with Ghislaine Maxwell. And now Ghislaine Maxwell going to a minimum security women's prison. It's going to be nice. Get some pedicures with some other criminal ladies there. The longtime Epstein associate, now serving a 20-year sentence, was relocated from a federal prison in Florida. Now she's going to minimum, which is lower than her current status. Now she's currently, let's see, Ghislaine has been moved from a federal prison to a minimum security prison camp in Texas, from Florida to Texas. The move was reported by the New York Sun, came about a week after she met with Todd Blanche. So, of course, the obvious question is this the beginning of a deal? Was Maxwell promised this? Did her attorney say, you know what would really make our negotiations a lot easier? Getting out of this crap minimum security. We want to go to even lower security. Maxwell's lawyer declined to comment, but according to the Bureau of Prisons, Inmates designated as sex offenders are generally supposed to be held in low security prisons, which is where she was, like in Tallahassee. But now she's going to minimum, so from low to minimum. Now, what happened is Blanche, of course, met with Maxwell and Marcus last Tuesday. Lots of people wondering what was going on. Before entering the government service, several top aides thought that there were secrets lurking. And Marcus has said during questioning and interviews that she answered questions about 100 people. It remains unclear whether those are victims or whether those are other co-conspirators or what. And Virginia Gouvea's family has come out and they're very unhappy about this. They say, along with the Epstein victims, they say, what the heck's going on? You're going to move her to a minimum security prison now? She's going to just go be able to skip around with other friends? Maxwell's lawyer confirmed, yeah, she was moved from Tallahassee. And now things are going to be nice over there. Let's see what she's going to get into. The British socialite disgraced is now in the same prison as the Theranos scammer, Elizabeth Holmes, and the former Real Housewife of Salt Lake City, Jen Shah. Well, that's great. They should start a podcast together and talk about it. Probably be good. Maxwell's new home mostly holds white-collar criminals and only female inmates. She will now be able to purchase beauty and leisure items from the commissary, makeup and crochet and sewing kits. That's nice. It sounds, I mean, you just like don't do anything. You just wake up. You got no responsibilities. You just, I'm going to go crochet something today. And go hang out with Elizabeth Holmes. Prison consultant Justin Paperney told the Daily Mail he had never seen anyone convicted of a sex offense go to minimum security, not somebody on 20 years. Tallahassee is rated low security. She was in a low security prison already, and that looks like prisons on TVs or in the movies. You're fenced in, there's razor wire. Women serving typically 10 years or longer, more violent crimes like sexual offenses and more. Now, a camp where she's going is different. And when you go to a place like Bryan, you feel like Disneyland. She will feel incredibly free, says this consultant who knows. There is a very low staff to prisoner ratio, and camps like Bryan, no fences or barbed wire. Says you can literally walk off and no one will stop you. What? It's a cushy country club and looks like a corporate office park or a junior college, added Paperney. He runs white collar advice, who advises future inmates on what to expect. Like this is his profession, right? Like you're going in, you hire these consultants and he tells you, okay, you got to go in. Here's how to best survive and we'll work with you through it. Now he called the move from Florida to Texas a massive upgrade and says, yeah, it's probably a benefit from the meeting with Todd. After that meeting last week, she's been rewarded with a transfer to one that's also closer to some family in Texas. He said, I've never seen this before. At Bryan, there's a softball field, a track for running. Wow. That sounds great. Maxwell's a keen runner, and even there's a pickleball court. Wow. So you can play that goofy sport. Paperney said she could study horticulture, parenting, adult education. She could become a teacher. Wow, it sounds beautiful. So visitation is more relaxed and she can have visitors on the weekends. It is very much a place where you can roam and move around the whole compound and just go back to the dorm to sleep for a head count. Wow, that sounds really kind of relaxing. Sounds like a little vacation. Dozens of women in the facility have illegal mobile phones, and Maxwell is likely going to get one too. So she'll even be on the internet scrolling around on X. Maybe watching the show. What's up, Galen? Even without such a device, she will get 300 minutes a month of calls on the prison phone lines. And, well, here's what you can buy. Oh, look at this. Little L'Oreal Revita. Ooh, oil Olay. Ah. So that sounds nice. You can get some body wash, lots of all these things. Air freshener, crochet kits, yarn, cosmetics. Man, they have like an Ulta there. It's like an Ulta and a Walgreens all combined into one, and a post office. That's pretty neat. I wonder if there's like a Costco kind of built in here. Yeah, maybe. Playing cards, nasal spray, multivitamins. Got to get your vitamins in prison. Acne cream in case that pops up on you. Stool softeners, gas relief. Probably good for a lot of the inmates in there, especially Elizabeth Holmes. Spencer Couvin, a lawyer who represented several Epstein victims, gave an ominous warning about this. He says, you know, if it's this wide open, Hopefully the cameras work. He said, remember what happened to Epstein when they moved him from high protective custody to low level security? He hanged himself. Yeah, right. An official report found that despite attempting suicide, his cellmate was moved out in the breach. It says Maxwell's lawyer declined to reveal the reason for the move, but it was obviously after the conversation. The transfer was handled by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, which was unusual as transfers are usually led by the marshals, but she's special. The Farmer sisters were both abused by Epstein and Gouveia, as was Gouveia, who committed suicide in April. Her family's died by suicide. That's the proper term, okay? Her family members, Sky and Amanda Roberts, and Lynette and others, also signed the harshly worded statement about the transfer. And so they're unhappy about it, obviously. I mean, it's wild what's going on because they'll simultaneously tell us, like, there's nothing there, okay? Epstein is just such a waste. And then you're like, why are these people getting such special treatment? Why did Epstein get a non-prosecution agreement that immunized everyone he's ever known, basically, until it didn't? And why is Ghislaine, getting all of these privileges? It must implicate somebody. Otherwise, why are they treated this way? Marcus, her lawyer, said that they're going to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights. Now, she, of course, has been subpoenaed by the House committee. And now it is not happening. And we predicted this, obviously. It's like Maxwell said, I'll come talk to you, but I need immunity so that I can testify without the prospect of facing new charges. And then so Comer responded and said, absolutely not. We're not going to grant you immunity. And I go, well, what's the point of the subpoena then? You're just going to bring her in here and she's going to invoke the Fifth Amendment and look like an idiot and waste everybody's time. So he's like, okay, now we'll postpone it. So I think if they want info, they got to give her immunity. It's just that simple. Now, House Republicans agreed Friday to postpone the August 11th deposition because she's obviously not going to testify if she doesn't get immunity. Said Comer denied requests from Maxwell's lawyer to provide immunity in exchange for her testimony, but agreed to push the interview back while the Supreme Court considers her appeal. She was moved to Bryan, Texas, Club Fed, where she's going to be crocheting. And her lawyers are still keeping a surprise. But that August 11th deposition is not going to be happening. So that's going to be postponed. Do we have a new date? Doesn't look like it. So postponed indefinitely, because if she is not granted immunity, why would she ever talk? Now, we also had more. In the motion to unseal the grand jury transcripts, Judge Paul Engelmeyer came out. This is in the Ghislaine Maxwell case, being prosecuted out of the Southern District of New York. It's actually over now. She's been convicted. She's in prison. But this is on appeal. And now the filing to unseal the grand jury records came in. And we've had a little back and forth on this. The original filing came in from the DOJ. Judge said, that's a nice filing. I need a lot more info. We read through the supplement, essentially, going through the various indicia for why it's possible to get grand jury records. Even though the rules are pretty clear, unequivocally, you can't release that stuff except for very good reasons. So then the Trump DOJ responded, provided an update. This is the judge responding to that. All right. Saying the government's application to unseal the grand jury transcripts in this case is pending before this court. And the government's July 29th submission just days ago, although it does not squarely state it, he's like, it's pretty good what you sent, that the government is seeking as well to unseal the exhibits put before the grand jury, which we called out on that. We're like, what is exhibits? What does this mean? Grand jury records. Does that mean the transcripts? Does that mean the exhibits? Does that mean all of the pleadings and the filings that came around with that? What's in there? So the judge is saying the same. Are you seeking to unseal the exhibits as well? As proposed by the government, the items disclosed would be redacted so as not to disclose victim-related or other PII, personally identifying info. The government has furnished the court with transcripts and exhibits indicating as to each the portions that the government proposes to redact if the motion to unseal is granted. And so, to assist this court in its review of whether we are going to unseal these records or not, the court directs the government, Trump's DOJ, by Monday, August 4th, so soon, to provide the court with a letter on my desk by Monday, stating whether the government moves to unseal the grand jury exhibits as well as the transcripts or just the transcripts. Yeah, and we wanted to know about that. I'm glad the judge is asking. What do you want? Identifying with specificity the grand jury exhibits as redacted for proposed release that are not already a part of the public record. And so in making this assessment, the government should take into account whether the unredacted portions of these exhibits were received in evidence during trial in this case, meaning they're already a part of the more public record, otherwise disclosed on the docket or disclosed in the course of civil litigation. So like what portion has already been released and what portion is still secretive in the grand jury files. Identifying with specificity, writes the judge, the information testified to in the grand jury transcripts as redacted for proposed release that is not already part of the public record, taking into account the sources above, saying, you can publicly file this in redacted form, your letter responding to this order. So even more clarity, okay, what specifically is the government requesting? And we would like to know the answer to that too. So we'll get some answers by Monday and of course cover it here. But the president was asked about this at an event and was asked to follow up to his comment about Virginia Gouveia being stolen. Here's what the president had to say.
In response to some of the comments that you made this week, you said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I would figure it was ABC fake news that would ask that question, one of the worst. But no, I don't know really why. But I said if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out. We said we don't want him, at the place. This is a story that's been known for many years, as you know. But it's. I didn't like it that he was doing that. Yeah, please.
But that's all they want to talk about now is Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. Of course, it's a big, big case, and we want to get to the bottom of it. And we hope the investigation is thorough and comprehensive, and we'll keep our eye on it. But we also saw on yesterday's show that Susan Rice was out screeching, Epstein, 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 because she wants to distract from the Obama coup. And so we know that we can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. We'll keep our eye on both cases. Thank you for subscribing and joining as we do. All right, we got some more updates now on the Kash Patel situation. And here's what Kash had to say about the annex. More evidence continues to drop that shows exactly how bad this Obama coup was. We went through the report that was the Durham annex that was recently declassified and released for all of us to see, and saw specifically how they came out and said that we need to create this narrative, saying, just make it up. Say something like critical infrastructure threat for the election to feel menace, And all of that came, apparently, according to Kash Patel at the FBI, from a burn bag tucked away somewhere. He said, we uncovered this annex along with thousands of other documents buried in a back room at the FBI. It revealed a highly classified piece of the Durham report, evidence that the Clinton campaign plotted to frame President Trump and fabricate the Russia collusion hoax. We worked with Chairman Grassley and declassified the documents immediately. And now the American people can see the truth for themselves. And we read through the whole report on a prior show. We have the segment out. The Russia hoax was a disgrace that President Trump and our country should have never been put through. This should be a step toward justice. There will be more to come. Your FBI will be relentless to get the truth out. We're thankful for our federal partners at the DOJ and CIA and more. And thank you to Chuck Grassley for your tireless work. Now, in addition to that, more evidence coming out. You see, Molly Hemingway got this exclusive over from the Federalist. Big questions about how the Russia collusion hoax was instigated. We had multiple kind of facets to it. We had the Carter Page FISA warrant and the fake evidence that was manipulated by Kevin Kleinsmith in order to secure those warrants. We had the pre-Hillary stuff that was all created, the Clinton plan that the CIA knew about and briefed Obama on before the election. We knew Loretta Lynch was getting apparently briefed or having conversations with Hillary people. And then when she was briefed by McCabe, she didn't even care about it, apparently, just sat there, poker face, because she knew she got caught, but they weren't going to do anything about it, so she didn't have to say much. The list goes on and on, but it also goes down the chain. And the question, of course, is who is approving these investigative avenues? And Molly Hemingway is breaking this one down, saying the DOJ official who actually approved a lot of this stuff, especially the $2 million payout to the Russia hoaxers, is identified as a left-wing activist called Brian Netter. And you know who Netter's working for now? A group chaired by Mark Elias. You know Mark Elias because we've talked a lot about him here, because he's the guy who was, in my opinion, colluding with Michael Sussman to try to facilitate the seeding of the Russia collusion hoax on behalf of the Hillary Clinton campaign when he was working for Perkins Coie. The DOJ official who signed off on the payments to the Russia hoax participants that left the DOJ to lead the resistance has now been exposed. FBI Special Agent Peter Strzok and his mistress, FBI lawyer Lisa Page, they sued the DOJ over the release of messages. Remember this? Detailing their role. They say, hey, if we want to cheat on our spouses, that's our problem. You can't release our private text messages that say, we will stop him, baby. I love you, Lisa. We're stop Trump. Oh, you're so heroic, Peter. Get another room. They already did. They said that the release of the messages that they were written, they were using government resources, and we can have our sex affairs on government property if we want to. And it violated our privacy rights. And so they sued. They know that they have inside moles inside the administration, and they got lucrative payouts. And this is why we get so mad about when we hear stories about FBI whistleblowers who have not been reinstated or compensated for the damage that was caused to them by a weaponized FBI attacking them. We're seeing Empower Oversight, seeing some success on that. In fact, we have a segment coming out where the whistleblower who blew the whistle on the Trump questionnaire that was being validated amongst agents in the Bureau, he blew the whistle. He's been reinstated. Segment coming out on that. We talked about that on a Membo stream, but it was a good one. But this is the thing. When they left or got fired, Strzok got fired, they sue, and then the people inside settle with them and give them a big fat deal. So who did it? Well, Brian Netter, Deputy Assistant Attorney General. He's the one who approved these agreements. We got a FOIA request that brought this to news, and the payouts were publicly announced all during the term of Joe Biden. So you see how it works. It's all part of the broad conspiracy. You do the bad thing, and if you do it in the sake and the interest of the agency, for the good of the agency, they'll take care of you afterwards. And they just plug you right into the pipeline. Peter Strzok hangs out on MSNBC. He's got all sorts of media accolades because the media, in many cases, is also interfacing with the intelligence agencies. And so it's just a pipeline. You come through, you do your dirty work, you get fired, you get in trouble, you go out, they give you a payoff, and you go now sit around with Jen Psaki all day, who was also doing the same thing on behalf of Joe or Obama. Now, Netter currently serves as the legal director at Democracy Forward, which, of course, is a Democrat Party affiliated group that wants to fight Trump. So he was in the DOJ settling for the Coosters and then leaves and opens up an anti-Trump group. Now, Mark Elias also was working against Trump. Mark Elias filing lawsuits all over the country back during COVID saying the election rules have to be changed because senior citizens are going to die. And so we need more drop boxes, more mail-in balloting, universal signature presumptions and all the things. Or else everyone's going to lose their democracy. That guy. He also, in my opinion, was involved with the coup attempt by Michael Sussman, Perkins Coie, Fusion GPS, Christopher Steele, Igor Danchenko, all of them working together on behalf of Hillary. And Obama knew it and enabled it anyways. And the FBI knew it and they didn't investigate it. Other current and recent board members also include John Podesta, Ron Klain, Kamala's sister Maya, and others, including Mindy Myers. Now, to hide the Russia hoax origins, the funding was fraudulently run through Elias's law firm. Remember this? They called it legal services. I'm so glad they brought this up. Clinton was fined only $113,000 for false claims that she made to hide her role. We've made this point many times, but remember, Trump got 34 felonies for falsifying business records, they said, when he wrote checks to Michael Cohen. 34 felonies. Clinton, she got a fine, okay, $113,000 because she was paying Mark Elias not for legal services. It was oppositional research, campaign research, mislabeled. She should be charged with felonies for those, right? According to Alvin Bragg. Now, Elias also ran their legal efforts to destabilize 2020. We covered a lot of that because they were suing in various states all over the country. Other current and recent board members of Netter's group include John Podesta. You know who he is. Netter also worked, the guy who approved Strzok's payout, for Merrick Garland's DOJ from 2021 to 2025. He also opposed Trump's motion for a preliminary injunction to block the National Archive releases to the J6 committee, which was the lawfare committee, which was illegally constituted and only had people appointed by Nancy. Netter married another Democrat lawyer and activist called Karen Dunn in a ceremony that Merrick Garland officiated. One big, disgusting, incestuous family of Democrat communists. Dunn, who played a key role in the Hillary Clinton campaign and was widely considered a likely White House counsel if Hillary won, which she didn't. She co-led Barack Obama's presidential debate preparation team and led Kamala Harris for the vice presidential debate. That's a tall order there. Dunn started a law firm with Jenny Ray. And did you see Kamala Harris on Colbert? We don't play those Colbert clips because they copyright strike you, but that was brutal. It was one of the worst, I think, public facing interviews that we've seen in recent memory. It was horrible. She has no personality at all, and it shows. But Dunn started a law firm with another person called Jeannie Rhee, one of the attorneys who worked on perpetuating the Russia collusion hoax. Dunn also clerked for Garland. Netter clerked for Breyer and others at the Court of Appeals. Congressional overseers were upset by the reward given to the hoaxers, remember? And demanded to know who signed off on them. But they were thwarted by officials who said, well, we don't know who authorized the payments or just the government, and declined to respond to congressional inquiries, saying, the American people are rightly concerned, said James Fitzpatrick. He runs Center to Advance Security in America. The American people are rightly concerned about the Biden administration's targeting of conservatives while their political allies were given special treatment. These settlements are a prime example of the outrageous abuse of power endured by the American people under Joe Biden. Netter, of course, did not respond to a request for comment. He's probably on the phone with Mark Elias right now. Hey, Mark, what can I do? Tim Burchett, meanwhile, is digging into this. A subpoena has been requested. Tim Burchett posted online, said, I've asked James Comer to bring in double tag. All right, James, just to be clear, Representative James Comer, you're tagged, and James Comer personal, you're tagged, bucko. Gad damn it. Gad damn it. What does he say? All right, anyways. To bring in George Soros and his attorney, Leonard Bernardo, the dude we read about in the declassified Durham Annex, to testify before the Oversight Committee. If they don't show up, they should be subpoenaed. Peanut. Thanks for covering this, Tulsi Gabbard and DNI Gabbard. Tulsi, double tagged as well. So you guys are on notice. You got double tagged. Here is what the letter says. All right, Chairman Comer. Thank you for your continued leadership on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. I am reaching out regarding new information showing evidence of a conspiracy to sabotage President Trump's 2016 election and presidency. As you know, Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, writes Tim Burchett, recently declassified evidence of a conspiracy by former President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the national security apparatus to manufacture and politicize intelligence, to subvert President Trump and the will of the American people. Included in this evidence, which we covered here at length, is a concerning email, allegedly from Leonard Bernardo, an employee of George Soros, plotting to discredit the incoming Trump administration in conjunction with Hillary. Considering the Open Society Foundation's continued influence on U.S. elections, I respectfully request you, James Comer, invite Mr. Soros and Mr. Bernardo to testify in a public hearing before the committee. Should they refuse the invitation, I encourage you to use subpoena powers. Americans deserve answers into the subversion of our institutions by malicious actors. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, your dadgum friend, Tim Burchett. In the House. Happy to see that go out. We'd like to see some answers from those people. Now, there was another very short order in another case that we're investigating. Of course, the Ryan Ruth prosecution. This is the Trump assassin, attempted assassin, who tried to take him out on the golf course. We got a new order from Judge Cannon that just came out. It's an interesting one because a lot of this has been happening behind the scenes, and now we get a little bit of a murmur, aftershocks of what was happening behind closed doors. She explains to us, this is the Ryan Ruth case, which is scheduled for trial coming up early in September, and he is now representing himself. Fired his lawyers, has other attorneys on standby, but she writes, this matter comes before the court because the U.S. government, Trump's DOJ, ex parte, okay, without notifying Ryan, in camera, meaning it's going only to the judge, and in a sealed motion, which means we're not seeing it, they asked for a protective order pursuant to the CIPA rules and the rules of criminal procedure. We got some classified documents, baby. Classified Information Procedures Act. Cannon says the court has reviewed the government's motions, CIPA, and the rules. We're very familiar with this because Cannon, of course, handled the classified documents case, which was all CIPA. Upon review, the court grants the United States motion in its entirety. The court finds that the motion was properly filed ex parte and in camera. The court also finds that the U.S. has made a sufficient showing that the information at issue was classified pursuant to executive orders and its predecessors, and that its disclosure could cause serious damage or exceptionally grave damage to the national security of the United States. What? Is he a foreign agent? Finally, the court finds that the United States properly invoked the provisions of CIPA and its classified information as required in the order. And so, accordingly, the United States motion is granted. The United States motion and all accompanying materials are now sealed and shall remain preserved in the custody of the classified information security officer, all ordered in chambers by Judge Eileen Cannon in Florida. So another weird one that is happening out there. Dan Bongino came out with an update from the FBI, saying an update for you all on Operation Summer Heat. Our violent crime takedown push all across America. He says this continues to deliver results, highlighting our ongoing intelligence-driven enforcement efforts. Dan says we're seeing real impact where it matters most in the communities we serve. He says, well, just this week, your FBI teams arrested 80 people and located 14 victims of child exploitation. These included the arrest of an international fugitive wanted for the abuse of minors overseas who is living right here in the U.S., and another convicted offender in Florida who was using the internet to access CSAM materials. We also arrested an Ohio man on charges related to threatening to eliminate a U.S. congressman, and helped our law enforcement partners in Washington find a suspect responsible for shooting a law enforcement officer on the Lumi Reservation. These highlights are just one piece of a larger picture. Since the kickoff of Summer Heat in late June, the FBI and our law enforcement partners seized 8,200 kilograms of cocaine. Hunter, hardest hit. That's more than 18,000 pounds, with an estimated street value exceeding $820 million. That's real impact, driven by coordinated effort enforcements. And so by the numbers, we got 2531 violent criminals arrested, 340 child victims located and identified, 640 plus guns now out of the hands of criminals. And I've said it before, and I want to reiterate it again. Summer Heat reflects our focus on identifying and disrupting violent crime trends with real-time data to drive enforcement efforts. It's about staying ahead of violent crime and stopping violence. We have much more to do and deliver. God bless America and all those who defend her. All right, so good update from Dan on Summer Heat. Now, here was James Comer. He got the letter from Burchett, and he's saying, we're looking into this. James Comer over from Congress.
And Congressman, as I mentioned, FBI Director Kash Patel announced that he found burn bags of Trump-Russia hoax documents in a secret room. One of the documents officials found was the classified annex to former special counsel John Durham's final report, which includes of the underlying intelligence he reviewed. So I guess it's kind of an annex section of that report. Now, Congressman, maybe it was just duplicated and you do burn things. I mean, that is not, I don't want to make it like you don't ever have burn bags. You do have burn bags in the government. But what do you make of this?
Look, I knew all along that the Democrats would try to destroy any evidence that would make them liable in this Russia hoax. We knew it was a Russia hoax. Fox knew it was a Russia hoax. You did a great job, Laura, reporting the facts about this Russia hoax. Now Kash Patel, who, by the way, is the right guy for the job, he's in there. We've got John Radcliffe in there, Tulsi Gabbard's in there. They're all trying to get the truth to the American people and hold people accountable. It's not just about the fact that we've proven they lied all along to try to hurt Donald Trump and destroy his presidential campaign. It's about the fact that they've lost confidence. We've lost confidence in the intelligence community. We have competent people in there now. We want them to pay a price. We want the Comeys and the Brennans and those guys to pay a price for what they did. It's illegal.
That's
it's wrong,
right.
and
We
they
do
need to be held accountable. And I think Kash Patel
You can
is
say
on
that
the
again.
right track. And God bless Kash Patel and John Radcliffe.
All right. James Comer is explaining that he wants some consequences and some action, and so do we. Now, here was Lindsey Graham, who is also responding to this, and Gunther Eagleman is saying, you know, it's pretty interesting to see Graham running his mouth like this when he's implicated in corruption too. Maybe he'll show up on this because, as we know, a lot of this seemingly was seeded by Ukrainians in some of the original intelligence. The reporting on the Russian influence came apparently from some Ukrainian sources. So maybe it wasn't actually actual good Russian information. It was Ukrainian misinformation. And who's been one of Ukraine's biggest fans? Lindsey Graham.
Well, so number one, the warrant against Carter Page that was sought by the FBI, 3 of the 4 applications to the FISA court were signed by Comey. The FBI had information that the Steele dossier was politically motivated. It was the exclusive basis for the warrant against Carter Page. The subsource, this Danchenko guy who gave information to Steele, told FBI agents it's hearsay, it's bar talk, it was never meant to be used in a legal proceeding. That, in spite of all that, they got warrant after warrant after warrant. So what did Page tell Strzok in August after Crossfire Hurricane opened up on July the 31st? Page, he's never going to become president, right? Strzok, no, he won't. We'll stop him. These are the 2 people leading
FBI
Crossfire
lovers.
Hurricane. But what's important tonight is that for the first time we know that in January of 2016, Debbie Wasserman Schultz apparently meets with the Soros Foundation to talk about a plan to distract from the Clinton email scandal. And there's a statement where Obama said, I'm not going to have my president tarnished by the Clinton email scandal, suggesting to Comey and everybody else, you need to let this go. And at the same time, we now know from an email that Hillary Clinton, to distract from her own email scandal problems, set up the narrative that became Crossfire Hurricane, blaming Trump of being a Russian agent. And they planned this, coordinating between the campaign and this organization to create this storyline. That's what's new. I've never heard this before. I did not know that the Russians had hacked into the Soros Foundation and they had conversations between Democrats and the Soros group to set up a plot to say that Trump was a Russian agent. And it was known before Crossfire Hurricane the FBI was going to provide oil to it. So this was a conspiracy to blame Trump for being a Russian agent.
Wow, Lindsey
to
Graham
distract
just
from the Clinton
finding
email
out.
scandal to affect the outcome of the 2016 election.
Wow, amazing.
And then after they lost the election, then the real intelligence that...
Yeah, so then they'll play their little Pattygate game back and forth over there on Fox. Lindsey Graham is like one of the most experienced senators of all time. And he's on, I think, not the Intelligence Committee, Budget, Judiciary, Appropriations, and Environment. So maybe he's not on intelligence. Maybe he did not get this intelligence and he's just learning. I have my doubts about that. So he's just shocked that it's now in evidence that they were doing this. We've got our doubts about it. Anyways, that's Senator Lindsey Graham. And now a lot of people are pounding the table who were in positions to know better. And they came out and told us that the intelligence agencies are amazing and the Russians are bad. And I wonder if Lindsey Graham believes some of that intelligence. Maybe some of that Ukrainian-seeded intelligence is why Lindsey Graham is so in love with Ukraine, because he believes they're fake intelligence. But FBI delivering some good news. We're very happy to see these new disclosures, especially about this fella, Leonard Bernardo. Tim Burchett asking for a subpoena. We'll see if we get it, and we'll be here to cover it when it hopefully comes down. Thanks for subscribing and joining as we do. All right, now, one final update on the day, and then we'll hear from you. Trump fires the jobs numbers lady, saying he was just informed that our country's jobs numbers are being produced by a Biden appointee. Her name is Dr. Erica McEntarfer, the commissioner of labor statistics, who faked the jobs numbers before the election to try to boost Kamala's chances of victory. This is the same Bureau of Labor Statistics that overstated the jobs growth in March 24 by approximately 818,000, and then again right before the 2024 presidential election, and in August and September by 112,000. These were records. No one can be that wrong, question mark. We need accurate jobs numbers. I've directed my team to fire this Biden political appointee immediately. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified. Important numbers like this must be fair and accurate. They cannot be manipulated for political purposes. Mick Entarfer said there were only 73,000 jobs added, a shock, but more importantly, that a major mistake was made by them. 258,000 jobs downward, says Trump, in the prior 2 months. Some similar things happened in the first part of the year, always to the negative. The economy is booming under Trump, despite a Fed that also plays games, this time with interest rates, where they lowered them twice and substantially just before the presidential election, I assume in the hopes of getting Kamala elected. How did that work out? Jerome Too Late Powell should be put out to pasture. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And so that firing now coming down from the president. Zero Hedge grabbed a photo of her. This is what she looks like. This is her. And the Bureau of Labor and their numbers, what we're seeing apparently are happening in certain markets of jobs. In other words, foreign-born workers are going down. American-born workers and jobs are going up. Trump said that jobs numbers may have been rigged, but now he's fired her. I've just informed that she is being fired. These were some of the biggest revisions, right, to the numbers. And Zero Hedge gave us a very detailed breakdown that we don't need to get into. But an update on what's happening there. So jobs lady got fired. And this was also something J.D. Vance shared. He said, you know, I was told 6 months ago that Americans losing jobs and foreign-born people gaining jobs was just an irreversible demographic fact, okay? You just have to let these foreigners come in and take your jobs because you're, you know, an American and you don't need your country anymore, so just give it to them. Turns out you just needed a new president and a new immigration policy. Geiger Capital said, I thought this was a typo, but it's not. Says, in the last 4 months, native-born Americans have gained 1.8 million jobs. 1.8 million jobs here from the numbers, which is good news, and J.D. Vance is talking about it. Now, Oversight is also celebrating this news. It's official. Corporation for Public Broadcasting is shutting down after decades after they defunded them for spreading leftist propaganda. So goodbye to PBS and NPR. Now, Corporation for Public Broadcasting has said, we're now out of here. On Friday, they said that they're going to shut down. We lost our federal funding. That's going to be the end of it for us. It included the elimination of $1.1 billion that was earmarked for them, and then they funnel that out to other people. They said, well, despite the extraordinary efforts of millions of Americans who called and wrote, we lost our money, and now we have to close our operations because I guess they can't earn an income with content unless the federal government pays them to do it. Maybe if they were honest and wrote good stuff, then people would read them. But President Trump and many of the fellow Republicans argue that financing public broadcasting might be an unnecessary expense, and so their money is going away. Now, this was some Senator Loomis. Here's what she said about the lady who got fired today.
Statistics are what they are, and unless there's a reason to believe that the statistics were wrongfully manipulated, these are turbulent times, and we've created some of the turbulence, and so it should be expected that there would be some ups and downs associated with job markets. It could be attributed to the fact that there were layoffs at the federal government level, which I supported. Certainly, that there may be changes in jobs related to tariff policy and other things. So we need to just dig deeper into why the numbers were lower.
All right, well, we think it's from illegal aliens. She's a Republican senator from Wyoming. John Kennedy was also out here talking about NPR and PBS going bye-bye.
This just in, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting announcing today that it will begin to wind down its operations. This after the passage of a federal rescissions package and the release of a Senate Appropriation Committee's appropriations bill, which excludes funding for the CPB in more than 5 decades. Their president saying in a statement, despite the extraordinary efforts of millions of Americans who called, wrote, and petitioned Congress to preserve federal funding for CPB, we now face the difficult reality of closing our operations. We'll get more on that as it comes.
All right, so I guess not Senator Kennedy. He just posted about it, saying the corporation, the scheme bureaucrats use to funnel taxpayer money, will soon be no more. That's great news for every American who doesn't want their tax dollars funding left-wing opinion journalism ever again. And the economic numbers are looking good, according to Kevin Hassett, National Economic Council Director. He said things are looking pretty good earlier this week.
Right. Well, I think that the headline today is that we had one of the better GDP releases that we've ever seen. It was absolutely in the sweet spot of what you want to see. There was really high income growth. There was 3% GDP growth. And inflation, core inflation, CPI dropped all the way down to 2.1%, which is just what the Fed's target is. And so all that's happening while we've got $170 billion flowing in tariff revenue, which everybody said was going to make inflation take off and give us a recession. And instead, we're seeing the exact opposite. And so it's a really beautiful day in economic data land. And I think financial markets need to understand that when you have supply side booms like we're creating under Trump's agenda, then that doesn't create inflation. It creates growth, but not inflation, because the more supply you have, the lower prices are.
All right, so they are continuing forward. Economic golden age, hopefully upon us, and we'll be here to continue to cover it. But major changes, we've got fired jobs people, NPR, PBS, that have been liberal institutions for a generation, now going to be closing and wrapping up shop. I'm sure they'll go get jobs at the Washington Post and the New York Times and all the other liberal entities, and will, of course, keep our eye on them. All right, my friends, what a beautiful stream it has been. If you're just joining us, quick recap on what we talked about. Spent some time on this today. The Ghislaine Maxwell video footage, which I thought was a very interesting article published by CBS that explains, actually, somebody could have walked in right through that stair, right around that corner, through that wall, gone up the stairs. Nobody could have ever seen them, and walked them right out the back door, right over to the elevator, which is back in this room and out the doors. And other videos apparently were all gone. And so, interesting one. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell also got transported to Club Fed. She's going to be buying some crochet kits over there and probably making a nice little, scarf or something. I don't know what she can make, but I'm probably sure lots of things. And we read through the latest update. The judge wants more information from the Trump DOJ by Monday on his desk so that he can decide whether to unseal the transcripts or not. Maybe we'll get something next week. We'll see. We also had the FBI, Kash Patel, discussing the burn bags. We've got the people inside the FBI and DOJ approving the settlements, now identified thanks to Molly Hemingway and the Federalist. Tim Burchett sending in us a subpoena request to James Comer saying, let's call in Leonard Bernardo, the George Soros person who allegedly wrote that email that we saw in the Durham classified annex. We also saw an order in the Ryan Ruth case from Judge Eileen Cannon saying that there's a lot of classified stuff that's going on. Trump's DOJ submitted something under seal behind closed doors in anticipation of the trial coming up. Dan Bongino gave us an update on Operation Summer Heat. And we also saw James Comer explain his take on why there should be consequences for the people who orchestrated the coup. Trump fired the jobs lady, NPR PBS going bye-bye, and now, my friends, it's time to hear from you. And thank you for being here. Thanks for subbing to our channel. If you haven't already done so, we very much appreciate that because we want to see you back here on the next one. But now, let's hear from you. Who is here? Who is joining us? What do you have to say about all of this and more? I see some great donos. Thank you for sending those in, my friends. Thanks for supporting us. Someone on local says, Rob knows about Alta? I do. I don't know how or why, but it's true. I know about Alta. I've seen them, man. They're like craziness in there. Chicks go crazy in that store. It's wild. All right, what's going on, my friends? Thank you for being here. Thank you for sending in these amazing donos. We got new membos coming in as well. And let's see where we're starting. All right, so I got this amazing gif of Pocahontas, except Pocahontas is not her name anymore. Her name is Chief Falling Desk. She wishes you a happy Friday. Oh, Elizabeth, no. Ted Cruz races over. What a gentleman, Ted. Nicely done. Help her up there. Falling horse, Pocahontas. Falling desk, Chief Falling Desk. Well, hopefully she's okay, Elizabeth. Probably blame Trump for that. Blame Republicans. All right. Thank you for that one. Hey, Bucky's is Rome shared this. The story out of the UK is wild. Raskin and Swalwell went over to interfere in the upcoming election and yelled at Farage, bashed Trump, and screamed about how the government needs to censor people. I'm actually shocked they didn't get pummeled. Here's a story. Hey, from Raheem Kassam. I met him over the trip to DC. Says, inside the UK Parliament Committee, where Nigel Farage blasted top Democrats for insulting Christians, Western heritage, and Donald Trump. Yeah, they're maniacs. They just go around trying to round everybody up to the cause. Bucky's is Rome. You got those dudes who are narrating the congressional hearings. Okay, Elizabeth, now fall into the desk. She does it, and they're laughing hysterically. Oh, no! Bucky's is Rome. This is the King of the Hill kid, right? Kicking Elizabeth Warren right in the caboose. We support peaceful protest and don't condone any violence. Bucky's is Rome. Dear America, please stop referring to the Senate as our house as leaders. We do not answer to them. They are merely our representatives, and they should be reminded of that fact often. Yeah, they don't really lead at all. They just kind of wait for popular consensus and just go with the winds, unless, of course, it involves certain issues. Bucky's is Rome, which is like spending or like Israel or certain things like that, like COVID. They just kind of all go with the masses because they have no actual independence at all. Bucky's is Rome. Everyone wants to live at the expense of the state. They forget that the state lives at the expense of everyone. From Frederick Bastiat. It's a good one. Dapper looking fella. Bucky's is Rome says, things you don't need to say to feel guilty for. You know, saying no, right? Putting your mental health first. Doing what's best for you. Reaching out for help. And some other ones. This is not legal advice. It's part of a meme. Ignoring gun laws or tax evasion. Consult your attorney and your financial advisor. Bucky's is Rome. Federal judge, that was a fast scroll, it's kind of risky, says federal judge orders Sydney Sweeney to gain 100 pounds and get one of those butch haircuts. Man, the Sydney Sweeney thing has been wild. I've never seen so many angry women. I mean, lately, We've had the T app, and then all their images got leaked, and we're like, oh gosh, and they were mad about that. And then Sydney Sweeney comes out and has a jeans ad, and I see these women like doing these full analytical breakdowns of this. This is Nazism. I saw some lady. She was like going through everything about her. This is white people, Nazi supremacy. They've gone nuts. Like 10 minutes of an analysis on this. Like, oh my goodness. And apparently any man who likes a good-looking woman is now a Nazi, I guess. Wild times. Hi, Sai is here. Severus in the house. Thank you, Severus, for bringing in 5 new amazing membos. Whomie is here. We got Don't Stout. What's up, Charles R. Doris is here. And Ariak joining us, courtesy of Severus. Thank you, Severus, for bringing in 5 new membos. Hey, Rick Donner is here. Yeah, shared this one. So I saw Rick and John. I saw you guys talking about the Ruth thing, so I pulled that up real quick. Thanks for the heads up on it. The DOJ has introduced classified evidence against Trump assassin Ruth. Says, yeah, I know, exceptionally grave damages to the national security of the U.S., so she sealed it. Well, what is it? Is it a foreign government who's behind him? What else could it be? Hey, Tara Rayner, what's up? 26 months as a membo. Hi, all. Please adopt me. My country is effed. No way, Tara. You're staying. Are you in the U.S.? Okay, well, you're staying here. We're saving our country. We're taking it back. This is the last thing we do. Don't. Angles mirrors would eliminate blind spot, but then that would make too much sense for the perfect self-subtraction. Yeah. Or just working cameras would also be great that don't accidentally fail. Also, guards who don't accidentally fall asleep or leave their posts. All those things would be good. Mirrors too. But any of those other basic functionalities that just would actually function would be good progress. Hey, Rick D, what's up, Rick? Rick in the house. Bringing in 10 new membo friends. Thank you, Rick, for doing this. What's up, Sarah Smith? Welcome. Oh, so I see what these numbers are. What is that? Are you guys putting those numbers on your stuff? What is that going on there? Like, that feels new. Sarah Smith, I'm wondering if you haven't claimed your name, but seems like some of these are those just random? Summer Walkabout. What's up, C. Pat McGinley? We got Gun Ior 22 RDO. What's up, Sergeant Grinch? Redneck Texan. We got Conservative Singer Ray L. All gifted membos. Metallic is here. We got ICU and more. All gifted membos, courtesy of Rick D in the house. We're grateful. Thank you, Rick D, for bringing in 10 new membo friends. And we are going to do an after party. So membos, stick around. We'll debrief, say what's up, see what you're doing tonight, what your weekend looks like. Hey, what's up? CF Rob says, maybe the orange figure was someone carrying orange blankets to the cell where Epstein was already dead. Orange blankets, maybe. I don't know what those would be for. But someone's saying it's my settings for the chat. I don't see any usernames, just account names. I changed that? I don't think I changed. How did I change that? Is that a new YouTube setting? Here, let me look. While we're here. Looking at this. No. Customization. That is strange. The numbers are a Google thing? All right, I don't know what's going on. Hey, Deluxe Night. We had a blast on our 4-day camping trip. Heck yeah. The Glacier Creek River was beautiful and fun to walk the dogs in. We made it past the bridge in the photo down to the next camp and back every day. We did the Polar Plug twice a day where the up and down river photos were taken. It was a great spot to ice knees and shins. No data services, surf and turf, and home recipe street taco dinners were some of the favorite parts of our trip. Even the 3 fur babies got their own surf and turf treats. Man, look at this. How nice. Oh, that looks just awesome, dude. I'm like feeling the nature energy through the photos. Look at those meals too. Awesome. Deluxe Night. Growing food, cooking food, living in nature, spending time with the pups. Mellenbacher, one of them. And we're grateful to have you here. Hey, rub some dirt on it. Says, All right, the glitches from locals aren't too bad today, but they're still present. It's either locals or the FBI testing Rob's system for Rob's FBI denied disappearance. You think I got swapped out in Washington, D.C. like a Biden person? We don't let them hose down the office or cremate any remains. Blink twice if you're in trouble, Rob. Thank you for that. Rub some dirt on it. Glad Locals is working amazingly. Doan, Maxwell, get a laptop so she can write a biography. Maxwell gets a laptop so she can write a biography. Is she going to put some names in there or what? Hey, Bruce Leroy, what's up? 10 years ago, I watched PBS on TV. Half their programs were fundraising. They also had some Jewish foundations funding them. Half fundraising, Jewish foundations funding them. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I see a lot of Jewish or Israel-related ads on Fox News, a lot. It's like, donate to support this, that, or the other thing. And I just think that's very interesting. It's like, who's funding those? Like that, I'm sure that's very expensive. Like, what if some of that money was just going to help those people? I don't know. Anyway, Sim Beck, what's up? Sim Beck's 007. In the house, what a nice dono. Thank you for that. Sim Beck's 007. I appreciate you supporting us. No comment, but thanks for being here. Former LEO. How about you give Maxwell Club Fed, and when she balks at testifying, you just ship her back from low security that she came from? Better yet, maximum security. See how she likes that. It's the old carrot and the stick. Everybody should be reminded that all of this occurred under mush brain Biden's DOJ, the Bureau of Prisons and FBI. It's pretty easy peasy. Yeah, I think that this has been going on for multiple administrations. I mean, Trump was in office when a lot of this, the original files occurred. But then Epstein was arrested, in 19 and died under Bill Barr. So, yeah, so it's weird stuff. Chubby says, Elias, Kerry, and Strzok have all purged or hidden their X accounts. Is that right, too? Mark Elias was a while ago. Kerry, I didn't know that. Strzok was really recent. Purged or hidden their accounts. Strzok has even had his complete way back also wiped out somehow. Though I believe the website is run by a lefty, the father of that crazy ex-lady that liked to do conservatives but cried victim when she was doxxed. Yeah, I forgot her name last time. And gosh, I can't remember it again this time. Man, that's how irrelevant she is. What is her name? Taylor Lorenz. She went nuts. Remember that? And started crying about, she's crazy lady. Yeah, and I think she got all her info deleted too. So how'd that happen? I don't know. King of Biltong, what's up? Sending this over from our friends on Rumble. Thank you, King of Biltong. You know what to do. Go to BiltongUSA.com. You can use code Robert. You'll save 10% off, and you'll get some additional B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and much more into your body, courtesy of Biltong. A healthy protein. Bucky's is Rome. Says the election system has been declared a national security threat and part of the critical American infrastructure. That means if Republicans were serious, that they could use the NSA and various other means to gather all electronic communication and bank information with a subpoena from the timeline that this all happened. And the Democrats lied to get warrants to spy on presidential candidate and his campaign. Republicans aren't serious about this. Trumpinator, what's up? Why was the FBI working for the Democrats and not the people of this nation? Because they're Democrats and they don't want the people of this nation to have any say in it. They think that they're essentially like godlike figures and that they have a duty, like they think of themselves as shepherds and we are the sheep. And they think of themselves in that mindset, like they're stewards of us. And if only we knew. And they talk like that. Prosecutors do, all of them do. Bucky's is Rome, the bureaucrats. Like if you only knew how amazing we are, everything would fall apart if not for the government. Give me a break. Bucky's is Rome. Dear Republicans, start arresting people. Rel, what's up? 5 new membos coming in. Terry Ann Bernier, what's up? Adam Mathis, John Boy, South Gas Stacker, what's up? Relantel, Princess Chesley, all coming in. Thank you, Relantel, for bringing in 5 new membos. What's up? Hey, Yvette Tivana, thank you, Yvette. 5 months as a membo, over halfway to a full-term baby. We appreciate that. That's a long time. Love your show. Love you being a membo. Thanks for being here. Natalie Ray, as a fellow Tennessean, I gotta soak it up. It's Burchett. You gotta rub some Tennessee redneck on it, Rob. Dad gummit. Yeah, I forgot the dad gum. I was like, what does he say? It's Burchett. Burchett, like that? We like Tim Burchett. What's up? Chit Down Tave. What's up? Beth Sanner was the vice chair at the NIC in 2016, going into 2017. Possible her name was the one blacked out. That's interesting. So I'm not familiar with that name. Beth Sanner. I don't think I've seen that one. Chi-Town Dave. Oh gosh, sorry about your name. Chi-Town, not Chit-Town. Sorry about that. Chi-Town, sorry. Possible her name was the one blacked out. Maybe. I have to get better with my names. ELZ, what's going on? The slower the gears of justice turn, the more juice is squeezed from the grapes of wrath. A slow drip of the lifeblood is very satisfying, from ELZ. That's an interesting one. Hey, Mr. Robbie Texas. M-Rob Texas. Love the show, but I missed the episodes where you smack down Boasberg, his liberal friends in the judiciary, 1 month as a member. Well, the Boasberg stuff is mostly on appeal. We love beating up on Boasberg, but politically speaking, in the judiciary, legally. But it's been pretty quiet out of there as of late, and I keep my eye on the dockets. But thank you, M-Rob. Glad you're here for these shows. Wes D, what's up? Who gets all the millions of royalties from Sesame Street and Work It Out Wombats? Because I guarantee it's not going to be going to the federal government. That's a good question. Yeah, who ultimately is the producer? Who owns all that stuff? I don't know. Probably just contracted out. What's up, Generic Derek? Does anyone remember this guy? Biden's financial advisor? Yeah, no wonder the economy is doing better. I do remember that guy. Remember, he couldn't answer the question about how money was created, essentially, like how bonds work and how the Fed issues treasuries or whatever the system is. He was like, what? Whatever the question was. Wes D, shutting down the corporation for the public broadcasting is very questionable. Some kind of scam is in the works. People need to keep an eye on these shysters. In other words, it's just like a distraction, so they'll just kind of shutter down the big entity and reconfigure things. Interesting, Westy. Thank you for that heads up. We'll keep our eye on it. I mean, if they're not getting the money, I don't know what's going to happen to them. Like, the money is the lifeblood. That's why they're so mad about it. Hey, Steve Bolin. I wonder how many USAID NGOs were CBP donors. I would guess a lot of them. Yeah, I mean, I think it was all probably just a flywheel of grift and corruption. All going to the AIDS doctors in Africa, whatever that was. And it has no website and no real evidence of anything. Thank you, Steve, for the dono. What's up? Hey, Jesus, see Rome. Happy Red Friday, everybody. Happy Red Friday to you, Jesus. Thanks for being here. Jonna Finn, you are seeing people's channel names, not chat names. Oh, so that's the change, huh? Interesting. I wonder why that changed or how come that happened. Hey, Rob over on Rumble says, hey, Rob, remember Epstein hung himself from his bunk bed, supposedly. There were all kinds of orange blankets all over the floor and on the beds. Figure going up the stairs carrying orange blankets. And then killing him with the orange blankets? Is that maybe what you're saying? So somebody else killed him and they were just like maybe had the blankets to cover them up. Yeah, I think that could be possible. R. McMenemy says ChatGPT says Trump lost 2024 and Biden is the president. Is that what ChatGPT says? Well, that's not right. Hey, Deluxe Knight, what's going on? I do find it hilarious when it comes to the Sydney Sweeney and American Eagle Nazi Hitler remarks, especially if one did some background research on the owners of American Eagle, started and owned by a Jewish family. The irony makes me laugh my butt off. So they're calling American Eagle, which is a Jewish family-owned company, Nazis because they have an attractive woman on their ads? Like, we grew up with those ads. I don't know what happened these last 4 years. But man, when I was coming up, we used to have, like, the beer commercials were crazy. Like double D's, like girls like washing cars, like drinking beer all over themselves. Remember that? Not long ago. And then it turned into like, I don't know, like trans dudes bouncing around on the TV screen, like buy some car insurance. Coming from Sicilia. You're like, what are you, what? Get off my screen. All right. So my friends, thank you for sending those in. What a beautiful stream it has been. Happy Friday. I hope your week was amazing and outstanding. And you're just doing well. We've got some comments we'll take a look at over on X. See who's joining us over there today. James Pepper. What's up, TJ King? Alex. Very nice to see you. Says TJ King, talking about the jobs number, says the jobs numbers before the 2022 midterms were rigged to the tune of 10,000%. Yeah, and they kept adjusting those numbers. The whole economy was propped up on fake printed money that was being funneled to Democrat operations and people like Stacey Abrams. TJ King, what's up? Also shared this one on Martyr Made on the Jeffrey Epstein series. That's from Martyr Made. Good stuff there. Alex says it might be a clothing exchange. Oh, yeah, maybe. That's nice. Just swapping clothes. And James Pepper, what's up? With some wedding advice. Thank you for that, James Pepper. All right, so my friends, it has been a beautiful stream. We're going to do an after party for members. Say what's up and hang out for a few more minutes. If you'd like to join us on YouTube and you're a YouTube member, hang tight. We'll post the link in the description or go to the channel homepage, hit the refresh button, and we'll see you over there. We also will be back tomorrow, members, for our Saturday stream, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. We'd love to have you join us to see what the day on Saturday has in store for us and unpack it together. We also will be back on Monday, of course. Now, before we wrap it up here, we want to thank our amazing mods and meme smiths. Thank you to John and Donut Mind Me clipping for us. We got Carrie B, K Bean, modding the fort down for us. We have Janek, Dog Digger, Neuro D, G-Gum, Elliot, Just Rhonda, Purveyor of Fine Emojis, helping out around here. We're grateful for everybody who makes it happen. Thank you for keeping things nice and orderly around here. We are going to now wrap it up, go over to our members only after party. We'd love to have you join us, but if not, well, of course, we hope to see you tomorrow. But if you don't see you tomorrow, well, then we're coming back on Monday and we're going to get into it again. And in order to do that appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it an amazing weekend. Have a ton of fun. Get outside, get some vitamin D. We'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. You brought the heat with every chat and line. Together we expose corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers. Truth on our side. Watching the watchers. We won't be denied. Watching the watchers. Eyes open wide. Fighting for freedom with nothing to hide. Drop a like and don't forget to share. And bring a friend who's ready to care. Tomorrow's lies are just today's news, but here we see through the scripted ruse. Together we are watching the watchers shine in the light. Watching the watchers defending what's right. Watching the watchers stay each night together and live.